All right. Thumbs up. Let's do this. Well, on behalf of Hope for the Warriors, I want to welcome everybody. I think it's a fantastic opportunity that we have a lot of folks joining us on Facebook Live. We have several attendees joining our group today, and what a remarkable response in the IT field and cybersecurity with just the interest and what we get with the panelists here that have joined us today. I want to thank you all, each of you, for taking the opportunity and joining Hope for the Warriors and being able to provide answers to some of the questions that our attendees have had in the IT field. I'm going to start off just a brief introductions around the room. Brian Papaki. I'm a retired Marine for 24 years. I retired in 2015, and I was a contractor for a while. Struggled with, transition, as do many folks, and I thought it was going to be seamless. I didn't really realize my foothold until I found Hope for the Warriors, and because I had so many struggles in transition, that's where I ended up. So I'm helping folks with transition. Certified career coach with the rest of my team, and I will now turn it over to Michelle Bracken. Michelle, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Bracken. I have been with Hope for about 6 years. I started out on the intakes team and transitioned to the transition team. I am a certified career coach and about a month and a half away from earning my master's degree in social work. So super excited about the direction that's going and what that will bring to our clients. Christy?
Perfect. Hi, I'm Christy, and I'm one of the certified career coaches. I've been with Hope since 2015, and I also manage our spouse and caregiver scholarship program. And I'll turn it over to Ryan.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Ryan Rath. I'm a senior incident response consultant at Google. I spent 10 years as an active duty United States Marine, and after that, I followed it up with 4 years in the Air Force Reserve. I'm super excited to speak to everybody today, and hopefully we can get you all some pointed knowledge. Looking forward to it. Thank you. Ashley Hayes, over to you.
Thanks, Ryan, and good afternoon, everyone. I am Ashley Hayes. I'm currently a senior consultant at Fortimize. We focus on IT implementations. My particular role is project management. I spent the first 12 years of my career in the nonprofit sector, transitioned to the IT space in 2020. I am the proud mother of 2 spirited boys. And I've been a military spouse for the last 15 years. My husband serves in the Marine Corps and is still active duty. Over to you, Linda.
Thanks, Ashley. My name is Linda Heward. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. I am a senior technical recruiter at HubSpot, which is a publicly traded software development company. I also do career coaching on the side through Ally Career Coaching. I have a 3-year-old daughter, so she keeps us very busy. And although I did not serve myself, my brother is retired Marine. Over to you, Stephen.
And good afternoon, everyone. Pleasure to be here. I am originally from the Atlantic City, New Jersey area. I formerly was in the family business of construction, and then now years later, I find myself working in the Los Angeles area, and currently out my window of my office is Beverly Hills High School. So I went from kicking shovels to in a tall tower. So I still have to say that I think I like construction better because every day you feel like you have an accomplishment, where in the IT field, you can go weeks at a time and go, I just, what the heck's going on? So, but I do love technology, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here. So I guess I'm kicking it off to Michelle. Or Mark?
Mark.
I think Mark.
I was going to say, I think I'm the last one left, right?
I'm going by my Brady Bunch windows here.
No worries, no worries. I'm Mark Casper. I'm a Marine, so I see a theme going on here. It's actually a really good theme because this doesn't happen very often, that there's not like a lot of Army guys in there going, ooh, ooh. But anyways, enough of that. Right? Marine Corps, 83 to 87, so a long time ago. Still married to my soulmate, 38 years, got 2 daughters, 3 granddaughters. And I did what Brian did. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I didn't transition well. And quite honestly, I didn't transition fully in my mind because I thought, tiger by the tail, I'm a Marine. I'm going to, everybody loves me. And they did love me, but they didn't love me enough to give me a job, right? Which happens. And really what happened is I fell into the veteran community here in Richmond, Virginia, originally from San Antonio, Military City, USA. San Antonio is home still, even though I've been here for a while. And then I fell into the veteran community here in Richmond, and that's where literally I found myself, that I found that soul serving satisfaction. And I run a nonprofit called Tech for Troops, best logo you've ever seen. And then what we do is we support under-resourced veterans and their families with the gift of technology and training and education. So we help them out with laptops. We teach them how to use a computer if they don't know how to use a computer. And then we also have 5,000 classes online that we provide to veterans that they can take towards certifications, Python, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? A lot of other things that we do. We have a suicide prevention program as well. So if you're not transitioning well, we have a way to help you in that regard as well. So we do a lot of things, but that's me. And then I'm just going to be quiet because I know Brian wants to start asking questions.
Thank you all again. Just a pleasure to have you all here and get your support with this great opportunity. What I want to start out with real quick is just to let you all know that we had a huge amount of questions come rolling in because of this workshop. And obviously, we're not going to get to everything that was submitted. Please feel free to use the chat and the Q&A. Michelle is going to be monitoring that. We're both going to be asking questions that were submitted to the group and kind of give this a flow. But we want you to be able to submit your questions. And I am also going to record the session. Oh, we don't have to record it because it's on Facebook Live. Okay, so we're kicking it off here. I just want to introduce a little bit about Hope for the Warriors and tell you a little bit about our programs and services, just because we had a lot of registrants come from folks that were, outside the scope of Hope, not clients. So I'm going to share screen real quick. All right, Hope for the Warriors. You can find us on X and Instagram, Facebook Live, and really what I want to talk about is going backwards in my slides. I want that. So really what I want to talk about is what Hope for the Warriors does in our holistic approach. We sort of look at everything from a well-being perspective. And we believe that every part of your life touches another part of your life. And the best way that we can support you as a member of the veteran community, when I say a member of the veteran community, I'm talking to our spouses, our caregivers, and our veterans, military members. That is the entire community. And when you come to us for some sort of aid, whether it be, clinical health and wellness, or social peer support, financial aid, or finding a career, we believe that there's other things that touch those different aspects of your life. So we believe in the 6 domains of well-being. And those 6 domains, we have several different programs that we can support you in those areas. And I'm not going to read through every one of them, but you can see the different programs that we have in physical wellness, emotional wellness, financial wellness, life roles, social support, and community connection. So when you connect to services on our website, hopeforthewarriors.org, you're going to end up speaking with one of our amazing intakes personnel. They're going to kind of walk you through the process of the programs that we offer. You can talk a little bit to them about, your interests, and they might make some secondary recommendations. You might just be interested in some sports and recreation activities. Don't be surprised if they recommend something else based off of your conversation. And that's just to overall look at how we can support you in different areas. So I welcome you all to come to hopeforthewarriors.org and connect to services. That's really all I have to say about the programs and services themselves. What you're connecting to here with this webinar is part of our Warriors Compass program. And with Warriors Compass, it's really our career and education program. We've got different opportunities in scholarship, but also in our career support. And with Michelle, Christy, and I, we're all career coaches and are willing to offer you services at no cost to support you finding gainful employment, gainful career opportunities. Without further ado, I am going to go ahead and start off with the questions. And I hope everybody's ready. Let's start off with what specific, and this is going to be for Mark, Ryan, and Steve. So I kind of do it in that order, and starting with you, Mark. What specific education or certifications should an individual have for IT/cybersecurity roles?
It's a great question. And if you're just starting out in the IT field, I think that you probably want to concentrate on A+ Security Plus as an initial. There's plenty of others out there if you want to go into the Google or the AWS, you can get those as well. But you want to have a good foundation with what you're going to be rolling into with, say, Google or AWS or whomever else. And the reason why is that gives you that opportunity as your boss or others are talking about certain things, you'll probably know what they're talking about. Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely. So certifications are a great way to reinforce skills. Certifications are there to show potential employers that you do have these certain skills that are required under the test. And to take the test, you have to have a pretty good understanding of at least the concepts as well as some of the things. A+, Sec+, are absolutely kind of the first ones out of the gate. For those of you looking to go into military contracting, if you'd like to be a contractor for the government, they have something called an 8570. And if you're going into an IT field, there will be requirements that you must have a certain number of certifications or certain certifications to fill each role. So if you go on USA Jobs and start looking for IT contractors, they're going to say, hey, 8570 IAT level 2, 3, 1, whatever it is. And you can see the certifications that will fulfill those requirements. So if you're looking to do contract work, I would use that as your guide. Even if you're not looking to, it's a great place to start and look for ideas just to see what's hot in the industry, what's important to the military and likely other organizations.
Yeah, and I'll follow that up with when I'm hiring, especially I've done pretty much a little bit of everything outside of IT, the security spectrum, but mostly infrastructure. But service and support is where my personality is best suited. So in that area, I love finding people that are new to the world of technology, and a lot of times the service desk is the foot in the door. And if you don't have, the experience listed down on that resume, the one thing that I tell everyone is those the ones that Mark and Ryan talked about. It's the A+, Security Plus, and Network Plus. So that's the 3 out of the gate. Those I'll hire you if you're excited about technology in that interview. Then that's one of the things that I'll focus on. It's seeing that excitement and that, to me, you can't teach people to be excited about technology. And those that are excited about technology, there's nothing you can't do. And especially in the service desk, if you're lucky enough to get in an area that a company that does not have silos, without silos, you can work with other areas of technology and then you can find your way. You don't have to I'm not sure what I like. The idea is once you get in, you can then find your way to what you really find, where you find your enjoyment.
Thank you so much.
Can I ask a quick follow-up question? So in addition to certifications, I don't know if we touched base on it. Can you speak to education? What type of education, like formal education, higher education, should you also consider pursuing, if depending on your goals?
I'll hit that real quick. And honestly, I don't really, for Tech for Troops and for other companies that I interact with, and nothing against Google and Amazon and those guys, they want certificate, they want high school, they want college, right? They want high level. But you have a lot of smaller IT companies, mid-level IT companies that will take hands-on experience far and above an education. And that's why I push my folks towards. If I'm teaching them computers and wiping and imaging and everything that goes along with that, they're getting that time when they go to the new company. They're going to have things under their belts, under tool belt, as you call it, that they'll be able to do that others won't be able to do or don't know about, never touched a computer. Because we have for-profit companies coming in, for-profit educational companies, and their students don't touch a computer, although they're in computer science. Think about that. So if you don't know how to tear it apart, put it back together so it works, and you're going into computers, sort of not good, sort of.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback off Mark a little bit there. I think what a lot of newcomers to the field miss when they see all these cybersecurity jobs. It is a skills-based industry. It is no different than hiring someone to build a home for you. They can have a bunch of certifications, but if they come in and stink up the joint, you're still going to be upset. Very much the same thing. When you're hiring someone to come in, you're looking for a specific skill set that they can bring in to fill a gap in your organization. So whatever that role would be, they're looking to have skills that they can either build upon that you have when you come on board, or you're a go-getter enough, you love technology, you love solving puzzles. Those are the kind of individuals that a lot of organizations gravitate towards. So and that's any of them, I can tell you firsthand. Having that excitedness, that willing to learn. It's one of those things you can't really convey, but an interviewer can pick up on it pretty quick.
Yeah, and I'll just go right along with that. A lot of times I see the education in there, but a lot of times it's the experience. I'll see something on there that we use, or that we can utilize right away. And so I love seeing the technologies that people have used in their resume. And if they don't have that, that's when I go back to those certs. Now, of course, you got applications, you have when you're in the programming side of things, that's when, having, documented stuff that you've done before is really helpful. That's an area I stay out of. I just make sure their computers work so that they can do all the programming, because I never want to. But it's a great thing for people that love the code. You can, find yourself in the matrix real quick.
Fantastic. Thank you all. Next question is, this is going to go to Mark and Ashley. Does the Scrum Master certification hold value for candidates to stand out against others? We'll start with you, Mark.
Well, actually, I'll pass this one to Ashley. I've already been talking.
All right.
Thanks, Mark. I do think that the Scrum Master certification does hold value, specifically for candidates in software, mobile application development, and overall like IT infrastructure design and implementation, which is what we do at Fortimize. We actually just started to include it this year as part of a requirement in our career framework specifically for like our project managers. I actually don't have my Scrum certification yet, but I'm planning on getting it this year. But I've been delivering using it, and the outcomes from that methodology is just really impressive. It's a consistent delivery experience for our clients. If we change technical architects or solution architects throughout the timeline of the project, when they come on board, they know the experience that they're going to get, and they're able to jump in easily and deliver for that client quickly. Based on how we're delivering. So I do think that there's value.
I agree absolutely with Ashley. There is value in it, but at the same time, if you're applying to a company that doesn't use Scrum, then it might not be as valuable. You may want to do a little bit of research to whatever that company is and say, there's got to be somebody you can talk to. And what do you use? Is the waterfall, the old waterfall Microsoft project type of thing, which was what I grew up on, right? So a long time ago. And become Agile certified, or is it black belt, or is there's so many different ways of doing projects nowadays. Ashley's right. Scrum is absolutely needed, but if you're applying to a company that doesn't use it, you might want to tweak that and turn something into something else.
Yeah, and Mark, to that point too, like we work with clients that use Kanban, and we're flexible to meet the needs of their particular situations, because sometimes Scrum isn't the right answer. And I mean, just having that flexibility, but also, leveraging, potentially some of the tools that are within that methodology, can set a team up for success no matter what they might be using.
100%.
Have a quick follow-up for the Scrum question. Professional Scrum Master from scrum.org or certified Scrum Master from the Scrum Alliance?
Ashley.
So we do the certified Scrum Master from the Scrum Alliance.
Yeah, we don't use Scrum at Tech for Troops, so I don't have an answer on that one.
Well, thank you. Let's see. If I were to try and identify where I was going to fit best in the IT industry, I've got some certifications, I've got some educational background. What are some tips in identifying the area where I might fit into this industry? This question is going to go to Linda, Mark, and Ashley. And Linda, if you wouldn't mind starting us off, please.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. So I think it kind of goes back to what Stephen was saying before. He touched on like it's a journey, right? Like we learn by doing. And so I think part of that journey is evaluating what your skill sets are and yourself and where your interests lie in order to help inform like where you want to go next. And I think that also comes down, it can definitely be tough to do, like to actually like identify, well, what am I interested in and what are my values and how does that align to a specific company that I might want to go to next? But I think simply by like making kind of dedicating some time to writing these things down for yourself, you can start to take yourself on that journey and uncover like what's important to you next. Like where do you think you fit into the landscape of IT? And from there you can start to do research on like what kind of companies do you like? Do you see yourself thriving in like a fast-paced environment, or do you think you're going to do a lot better in a really well-organized, structured environment? Do you like kind of imagine some place where someone's going to like hold your hand and give you some more structure, or do you like to have a lot of ambiguity and like kind of like you're a go-getter, you want to figure it out yourself? So I think by doing some of these things and evaluating yourself and allowing yourself to understand that it's a journey first, you're going to start to understand like, how do I want to research and fit myself into this huge IT landscape? And then from there, like being able to research the companies that you're interested in and reach out to people who are working for those companies, reach out to people to do informational interviews that you want to speak with, who have a similar background to you, that maybe come from the veteran space, and say like, hey, I noticed you work for XYZ company. I'm interested. Tell me about how you made this transition. Tell me about like how you decided this was a good company for you. Tell me about where you think you want to go next. And having those informational conversations is going to help you start to identify where you fit. And it's going to give you a really good starting point. But I'll pass it over to Mark.
I was going to give it to Ashley, right? Ladies first, always when it comes to me. So if y'all are going to do this kind of thing to me, I'm just going to pass it on to Ashley.
Oh, thanks, Mark. And Linda, I think you said that really well. The only thing that I have to add is that the IT space is massive. There are so many subspecialties, as you can see with everybody on this call. Everybody does something a little bit different. Cybersecurity, software development, IT sales and service. I mean, there is something for everyone. So I think understanding, where you might want to fit within one of those subspecialties, is, one of the focus areas. And then also looking at the different roles within those subspecialties. So in software development, being a project manager is very different than being a developer and writing code, which I have very little interest in ever doing. But that may be a passion of yours. So I think just, looking at the different roles, different industries, different subspecialties. There's something for everybody, but based on your past experience or what your interests might be, as Linda was speaking to, is something, writing that down and just thinking through what that looks like for you can be really helpful.
I am in total agreement with the two ladies said, right? Linda and Ashley. I mean, they are spot on. And I'll just give a real quick. It was 2 years ago. I was on a call. It was a late night pandemic, IT thing like we're doing here. And one of the people on the call said there were 43 different sub roles in cybersecurity alone. And I guarantee in the last 2 years, there's probably another 10 or 15 have been added in. There you go. Ryan's saying it's way higher. Right. So find what you like, what you think you like, and check it out. Don't pigeonhole yourself. And I'm going to be a project manager because everybody says I want to be a project manager. Well, that might not be where you fit. Right. Find out what you like, because that's just cybersecurity, that 43 plus roles. There's so many more. So you're right. Find out what you like. Linda said it best. Ashley echoed it in an amazing way. And I'm just sort of bringing up the train here. Go ahead. Next.
Thank you so much. This next question, Linda, Ashley, and Mark, what are your tips or ideas for how to identify companies that fit your goals?
Oh, I'll go first. Right. There's three things and then a fourth: location, 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 remote opportunities. Right. That's really what it comes down to. Location, location, where you want to live, cost of living, et cetera. And then do they have remote opportunities? Because nobody wants to go into the office 5 days a week like I do. I'm going to pass it to Linda then.
I love that. I think that's a super important one. And it's kind of like goes back to the first question, right? And identifying like where you best fit. It's like identifying what's important to you, like what's a part of your wish list that like is going to be impactful to understanding like what companies actually check off the boxes that I have on my wish list. So like location and remote opportunities can absolutely be one of them. The other that I think of is like doing your research into the mission statements and the values of the companies that you're interested in, and see if they align to your personal values. See if it like sparks an interest. Where I work right now at HubSpot, I remember I came across the company in 2014. They had something called there was a huge slide deck. I think it's 100 slides at this point. And I stumbled across it in 2014. I was like, this company is crazy. Like, what are they talking about? It was basically all about their values and their mission. And I was like, nobody's going to go through 100 deck slide. And wouldn't you know, like I started clicking through and I ended up at the end of that 100 slide deck. And I was like, wow, there's really something about this company. And it stuck with me since 2014. Didn't find myself there in 2021, but researching the companies and understanding like what kind of customers do they serve? What values do they have? Does it align with the values that I have as a human being that I like to align myself to? Kind of think about it like, you know, you align yourself to a specific branch of the military, right? Like what spurred your interest in being a part of the Marines or the Air Force or, you know, what have you. And so like thinking about it from that standpoint and then being able to kind of like zoom in on, does it, you know, align to my own goals and where I want to go next. But I'll pass it over to Ashley.
I could not agree more with you, Linda and Mark. I do love your comment on, you know, location. I mean, as a military spouse, remote work has been ideal for me because, I mean, we all know we move, you know, every 2 to 3 years. And I've had, you know, been very fortunate to have the opportunity to be able to move with those roles. But Linda, to your point, I think, you know, in the interview, trying to understand what the company culture looks like and values, I mean, that is what drives me. I mean, even Fortimize, when I was initially connecting with them, they kept talking about like people first and giving back to your community and you know, what ownership means and something, you know, that's been important to me more recently is like, you know, long-term retirement goals. What does that look like? As, you know, I want to be part of a company who does ownership and what that means for, you know, the overall outcomes. And I think it's looking at what those benefits that are most meaningful to you and how they align with the values of the overall organization and what that looks like. Something else to add too is just trusting your instincts. So if you go into an interview and you're not, you know, something just doesn't feel right, it just might not be a good long-term fit. So yeah, that's it.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, both Linda and Ashley touched on really what I kind of talk about with the career perspective of identity. And I really appreciate you talking about that because the culture of the different military backgrounds, the different branches of service. That's going to be ever so important when you make that transition. So thank you for touching on that, Michelle.
And just,
Oh,
I
go
was going
ahead.
to say, just to chime in, Ashley kind of brought up one point that I think about is like, if you treat yourself like a business, what business move would you want to make next to make your business grow and thrive? Like, where do you want to align yourself next to make sure that you're planning for your long term? Like, Ashley, I feel like you touched on like something from like a benefit standpoint. Like that could even be part of like how you evaluate your own criteria. How do I want to plan for my future? Does this company offer really great benefits in the term of like 401k, XYZ? Like, I think if you treat yourself like a business, you zoom out, you evaluate who you are, you treat yourself like a business. What is this company going to give me next that I can continue to plan for my own future? That was the last point I wanted to make.
Thank you, Michelle. If you'd like to take over questioning.
Sure. So this question is for Ashley and Ryan. Are there any certifications or training programs that you would highly value for someone seeking interest in the field?
I'll go first, Ryan. So I know we already talked a little bit about the Certified Scrum Master, but I have also leveraged several training programs throughout my career. I've used Onward Opportunity to secure my professional management, my project management professional certification, PMP, as well as using Military Trailhead to secure 7 Salesforce certifications, which there are a ton of opportunities there. I think if you are interested in software development and the implementation space, a certification with the potential application, like I think, Mark, you mentioned Google or AWS, Salesforce too. I think that those can be beneficial for you as you look at what you want to do in the IT space.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Ashley. So from the technical aspect, it kind of gets a little in the weeds. I think all of us have been on LinkedIn where somebody has hit us up. If you have anything IT related on your resume or your LinkedIn, hey, take this boot camp, take this course. We can get you the certification first try. And I've personally never done one. I'm a huge believer in self-teaching. There's so many good resources out now, even more than 5 years ago. It is unbelievable. So a few that I like to, and I have no affiliation. These are just things that I personally believe in. When you come up to me and say, how do I know if I would like hacking or cybersecurity or some of the topics? How do I know if I go red team? How do I know if I want to go blue team? Or is there a space in between? So Try Hack Me is an excellent resource. They have labs where you get a VM and they kind of give you walkthrough instructions where you got to go and get the answers. And they go all the way from turning on the computer to hacking some pretty sophisticated applications. It is incredible. I can't recommend it highly enough. A little bit harder. The next step up is going to be Hack the Box. Those are going to be more resources. And then YouTube. I love watching security researchers and all these people on YouTube. John Hammond, IPSec. There's the list could go on and on. Brian Hamble. There's just so many. This is very much a leaning forward industry. If you want to go beyond the help desk and you want to really dig into some of these complicated how these cloud architecture, and if you want to understand that so that way you can help provide security and recommendations, you have to foundationally understand how that technology works. And really the only person who's going to help you with that is you. Now you just got to go after it. Google, research, YouTube, all of the things. There's a million great resources. Google offers courses. AWS has courses. Microsoft has a bunch of courses. Take advantage of the free opportunities you have. Like Ashley, I also used Onward to Opportunity to get my certified ethical hacker. That was when I was first getting out. It was a $1,200 certification at the time, and boy, was I happy to not have to foot the bill for that one. Let me tell you. So use the resources that you had. There are so many great resources. Hope for the Warrior, Onward to Opportunity. I'm sure everybody could go on and on. You never know what you're going to pick up, and you may go to something and not learn exactly what you're looking for, but you might have learned something else, another skill, another partner, another person to connect and just kind of talk with. So it is very much a self-starter industry. And if you're a self-starter and you want to go after it and get it, you absolutely, there's no limit. Go do it. You got it. And that's all I got for my piece.
Thank you. The next question is for Linda, Mark, and Ryan. How important is relevant work experience versus academic qualifications when evaluating candidates for entry-level positions in IT cybersecurity?
I guess I'll kick us off. So being a technical recruiter, I look at a lot of resumes. Can't tell you how many I go through in a month. But basically what I always say is that you have to think about the work experience piece and then the academic piece as kind of like a house, right? Like the academic is like your foundation, or could be your really good foundation or certifications. But then your work experience ends up being the walls of that house. And when you walk up to a house, the first thing that you see is the walls, right? You're not looking at the foundation. So like work experience is going to be really important. Hands-on experience is going to be important so that you can demonstrate that you've done it before. And that can come through a wide variety of places, right? Like from my brother, when he was Marine, he was going through the IT program, like within the Marines, like he did hands-on experience in the job day to day. And so like that's something that was first part of his resume. But that can also come from things like co-ops or internships or apprenticeships. Like, it can come from a wide variety of areas. But I would say like your work experience is a thing by and large that like a recruiter and a hiring manager is going to be looking at first. And then as they scroll, down that resume, whether it's the 1-page or the 2-page format, they're going to start to land on your certifications. They're going to start to land on your education. Like what's your background there? What kind of foundation are you coming from that you were able to gain some of this experience? And that can be really tough for entry level, because obviously you're like, well, I'm entry level, like I need the experience from somewhere, but it can come from creative areas. It doesn't have to always come from a full-time position. And so like, I always encourage people to start thinking out of the box when it comes to like, where can you get this work experience to add onto your resume, or project work that you can add onto your resume, and then go from there. But I'll kick it over to Mark.
So I am in total agreement with Linda, except I would add in the work experience, and this is can be said multiple times, is there's a lot of nonprofits out there that need your help. And if you're looking to get hands-on experience, I can tell you right now that I know ones that you could walk in the door and you might not get paid a lot. You might not get paid, but what you're going to get is something that a lot of folks are never going to get. They're going to get that hands-on, and you're going to have the whole breadth from, starting at the router that comes in from a Verizon, Comcast, Spectre, whoever else your provider is, and then take it through the whole organization. And you're going to be able to do all of it. So that is work experience that you can't pay people for, right? You can't just have that kind of thing happen. So that's right. Linda's absolutely right with everything she said. Just add in the nonprofit experience as well.
Thank you. The next question, excuse me, is for Ashley, Mark, and Ryan. What are ways job seekers can gain relevant experience or transferable skills to support their quest for employment in the cyber security or IT career field? Is this important to an employer or not?
I'll go first. So I think relevant work experience and transferable skills are important, but not required. And right back to kind of what Mark and Linda were talking about when answering that last question, you can find that experience in unique ways, whether it's co-ops, internships, nonprofits. I mean, that's what got me into this space. Is I started in the nonprofit space and transitioned over into IT, but I was able to gain some really wonderful experience just through some of the nonprofits I worked with in my past. I would also recommend, especially for those getting out of the military, to explore options like SkillBridge or Hiring Our Heroes fellowships. Those programs will also get you some hands-on experience in fields that you might be interested in. And I've also heard that they can lead to directly lead to employment if those positions are open, depending on what organizations you are participating with those fellowships with.
Yeah, and I'm absolutely agreement. I'll add 2 more. One is your state labor board or agency, whatever it is for like Virginia Department of Labor. Go there, use the federal Department of Labor as well, because there are so many job offerings that are there. They have internships, paid apprenticeships. They do all of that as well. And I think, I know I did when I was getting out. I skipped over all that thinking, oh, I have a tiger by the tail. So use the things that you're hearing about here that friends are going like, hey, go talk to and see what, and don't just think you're going to make it on your own, because quite honestly, I'm going to speak for all of us here, but if I'm wrong, smack me. We all needed a hand up, and we all needed somebody to say, wrong move, try this one instead. So absolutely, Ashley, all of these folks. I mean, hell, I'm humbled to be within with these folks.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just kind of quick share my experience of transitioning out of the Marines. I got out in 2018. January of 2018 is when I got out. I took a few months, got relocated, got settled, kind of tried to get my mind right. At that point, I had 2 certifications, or I had one, was going for the other. And I was like, cool, I'm set up. I got a cert. I'm going to go get a job. It's going to be great, right? That was absolutely not the case. So in the Marines, I was a 1361 drafter and surveyor. Most of you probably won't know what that is. When I left the Marines, there were only 18 of us at the E5 level in the entire Marine Corps. So I don't know if it's the smallest, but it sure felt like it. Meaning that to say, I did not have IT industry background. In the Marines, I was trying to move on to their offering for the cyber defense, the cyber protection team. But coming from a non-technical MOS to a technical one, after 10 years, they were on a defense whether they wanted to pay to retrain me. And since I only had 10 years left, they decided not to. So I left. That's why I decided to get out and pursue it on my own. It's something that I was passionate about. But getting into the industry, it took me a lot of failures. I think I quit counting at 100 applications. And this was, years ago even. Without that experience in my resume, without getting my foot in the door, luckily there was a small managed service provider in the Atlanta area where I was living at the time that was hiring for someone to come and install security cameras, access control, all those things. So I was more of the installer for server racks and cameras, but they had an IT desk, and that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to be on the IT desk. I knew I didn't have any experience, so I was trying to work my way on there. After a few months, somebody ended up leaving the team, and I made sure that everyone on that team I was buddy with, bringing coffees, lunch, whatever, as much as I could handle, and made sure that they know I wanted to be there. So when a job opportunity did come up, I was the first one up. And it's just little things like that, right? It's whatever you can do to get yourself in the door. Nonprofits sound like a fantastic idea. The Skill Bridge, I have 8 members on the incident response team for global government on my team. That's a very small team. 3 of them have come from the Skill Bridge program, which was incredible. They got paid to come work at Google for 6 months. We got paid, they were a force multiplier for us with our efforts. We were able to lean on each other. All 3 of them got job offers after. So there's lots of different paths, lots of different stories. Everybody has their own transition story. So make it work for you. You got to lean into it way more than you thought you would. I know I thought it was going to be much easier than it was. I think we all kind of talk ourselves into that. But when it gets tough, keep grinding, trust the process.
Just to piggyback off of that, Steve, do you have any advice coming from like the help desk side, since that is like an entryway pathway for many? Do you have any advice that you'd like to share?
You're on mute. That's okay.
The main thing, like we were saying, you get to the desk, the service desk, and that opportunity and a lot of people look at it as as the stepping stone to other things. And again, bringing coffee and knowing all the people by name, that is the exact thing of a foot in the door. So anything in the technology field, in an area where you do have other teams that you work with, that's why silos are bad. Like that's one of the things in the interview I would ask. Do you have silos in your organization? Do you work freely between departments? Because that enables you to, get experience in those. And in fact, since I've done infrastructure and, most of my career has been IT consulting, where I was the only IT guy for a bunch of small businesses. When it came time to be in a position where I can hire someone, it's really looking at, just especially as I talked about before, the excitement of getting somebody in there. So, but yeah, get your foot in the door there, and then just, and also we haven't spoken on this, the other thing, there's introverted people and extroverted people. So I have a friend, she's like my son, he really likes computer, but he doesn't like interacting with people. So I said, well, there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of these jobs are great for introverts. And then I obviously am in that side of things, and I went back to the service desk side. I'm an extrovert, but that's the industry. So programmers, anyone on the application side, just so all of you know, there's both sides of the field there. So you have and especially in an interview, you can almost tell if somebody's an extrovert or introvert. So there's plenty of roles for introverts, and they're the ones I go to for help.
Thank you so much. The next question is for Linda and Ryan. Can you provide insights into the recruitment process for IT cybersecurity roles within your organization from application submission to final selection? Are there odd questions that have been asked during interviews? And could you give some insight into what that might look like? So, for example, how would I prepare for the apocalypse? Questions like that. Are there some that you are asked during your interview process? Thank you.
So I will kick it off. So I specifically support our software engineers at HubSpot. So I'm not necessarily working and recruiting IT and cybersecurity professionals within our organization. But I will say that universally, between even my recruiting interview, I can recall going through with HubSpot, it's definitely rounds of interviews. So I would say anytime you're going for anything in the IT space, especially for like a larger tech company, there's probably going to be multiple rounds. Some of it's going to be hands-on, some of it's going to be much more behavioral focused. I will say that like for at least the company that I come from, because I've had this question in the past from other people that I've coached from a career perspective, what's most important? Is it like I'm doing really well in my tech skills, or is it the soft skills really matter? I guess is the question I get. And I will say that like, at least for my organization where I'm at right now, it's a combination of both. I've seen really strong engineers turned away that have stellar technical skills, but like have fallen short on the communication side of things. And then I've seen, the reverse. I will say the apocalypse questions, I think they're so funny. If you're also like, you are going through an interview process and all of a sudden you're given one of these weird questions like why are manhole covers round and not square or something like that. Like these questions are kind of meant to I guess just understand who you are as a person. Like how do you deal with a curveball? Like how do you deal with the unknown? Like if you're given something out of the blue, how do you move forward and like coming up with a response? So it's not necessarily that the interviewers are looking for a specific response normally in what I've seen in these kind of oddball questions that sometimes get thrown around. It's more so that you have an opinion, that you have a response, that you don't freeze up, that you, even if you say like, hey, can I take a minute and just think about that for a second, gather your thoughts and then respond with something. It's wanting to understand how do you overcome the unknown. And I would argue, I think coming from the space of like being in lots of military, like, veteran, like you deal with the unknown all the time. So think about like all these times you've had to overcome something and use that to your advantage. But I'll pass it over to, I think it was Ryan.
Yeah, thanks, Linda. That is all fantastic advice. And Google is notorious for their interview process, I will say. I was very, very, very fortunate. I joined Mandiant back when it was a part of FireEye. So since then, we've had a divestiture where we split from FireEye to now just Mandiant, and then we were acquired by Google, which, not gonna lie, we're all sweating it, whether we'd have to re-interview or not for our jobs, but we did not, thank goodness, because now knowing some of the new hires that we get coming through the door, going through the Google process, it does sound like it's a bit of a gauntlet. It takes time. 2 months would not be abnormal. Within that time frame, you're going to do probably 4 to 5 interviews. One of them is going to be your initial interview, and that's just to kind of, take the temperature of the candidate, see if their technical skills kind of line up with the resume. And then one of the weirdest interviews, or the most unique interviews that we do, is something called the Googliness interview. And it is hard enough just for me to say that because it's kind of silly, but it's a thing. And basically that is your personality fitment test. If you're going to join the team, if you're going to be inclusive to all, we want to make sure that, the way that you process problems and attack problems lines with the vision of the team. And I actually brought in a sample question if you guys kind of want to hear one of those. I thought this one was a great one. And it says, tell me about a time in your current or previous position which you faced a problem that did not have a clear solution. And what are they looking for in that question? They're looking to see, past experiences of your problem solving skills. And it doesn't matter what it is. It can be whatever topic, that would be one where you'd want to take a breath, think of a few good examples, and then reply. It's those type of questions that it's hard to prepare for, but some of those along those lines of thinking are absolutely ones where they can prove extremely valuable if you're trying to attain that job.
I'm just going to say, I think we all ought to talk about the apocalypse now. It's good. That would be a blast, right? No, go ahead.
So I'm going to pick it back up here, and we've got some sort of rapid fire questions. And this kind of what this essentially is going out to all of you. And don't everybody feel like you have to answer. It's just more or less, we want some good tips for some of these questions. And please feel free to jump in. The first one is, what do you see as resume killers?
I'm gonna dive right in because, like I said, going back to looking at so many resumes in a week and in a day and a month and a year, I would say really quickly, an unorganized resume, huge resume killer. So if it's messy, it's hard to follow the information. There's not really a logical sense of what you're putting together. It's going to take me too much time. I'm not going to spend the time. I have to get through a lot of resumes. Too long of a resume. I always tell people, like, oftentimes 1 to 2 pages is sufficient enough, but also don't feel like you have to squish it all on 1 page either. Like, if you really have some career experience you want to highlight, doesn't need to just be 1 page. Also, leaving out your LinkedIn link. Please don't make your recruiter and hiring manager search for your LinkedIn. Oftentimes they want to see both. They complement each other, and so make sure your LinkedIn link is a part of your resume, please. And then placing your skills section at the bottom. For IT positions, tech positions, we want to see that skills section come up to the top. I don't want to scroll all the way to the bottom of your resume to understand what technologies you've had your hands on. And so making sure that that's like front and center, one of the first things on your resume, is definitely, I think, also really important.
Thank you.
I'm just going to say misspellings as well. Make sure you proofread your resume. If you don't know how to spell check.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of move on, since I just looked at the time and we're getting close here. So I'm going to call you out, if that's okay. Our next question is, what was the best career move or development choice you made for yourself? Ashley.
I would say, I think taking the chance to move into the IT space, I am extremely risk adverse. And so taking that transition from the nonprofit space to the IT space was extremely scary for me. And I imagine that many that on this call might be in some similar situation, whether you're, getting ready to leave the military and considering the IT space or what that might look like. But I think taking the chance is, it was a good one. I also think that I didn't do it alone. And I know you heard that from Mark and Ryan. I had mentors helping me along the way, and I wouldn't be here today without them. So I guess my best career move was jumping into the IT space. And I haven't looked back since.
Stephen.
For me, it was one role coming out of, I was still consulting, and I went to a company that opened the gates. They let me do everything. I was there 3 days a week as a consultant, helping out. It was a sneaker company. And because they had that open, whatever you can do, and it was up to me and to jump in wherever the interest lied. So if it wasn't for that job and those mentors I had, I would have never had the confidence and courage to take these risks in the technology field afterwards. So And to this day, some of those people I've worked with multiple times in multiple jobs. The IT industry in a city is very small. Surprisingly, I ended up working with the same people, and it's good to make as many connections along the way.
Thank you so much. This next one is really unique in the aspect of where people are constantly going for different job searches. What is your favorite place to search for jobs? What platform? I'll start with you, Linda.
LinkedIn. You can filter down, you can set notifications, it'll notify you when a new job pops up that fits the criteria you're looking for. It's like a easy passive way to look for a job. And then, like I said, all the major tech companies are going to be on LinkedIn. So if that's something you're interested in, we'll go there.
Fantastic. Ryan, you have anything to add to that, please?
I do. So I'm going to kind of change it up, and it's not necessarily technology, but going to industry conferences. And I'm not talking the big ones like Black Hat DEF CON. Go to your local meetups. I can't tell you how many like hacker meetups at malls that I would go to when I was in Atlanta. And there would be companies from, there would be representatives from different companies that would show up. They'd send somebody from their red team to go evaluate, like, hey, if you see anybody who has some cool skills or they're good fit for the team, let's talk to them. I got so many business cards going to small 15, 20 person meetups. And then local B-sides conferences are great. Go pick people's brains, go attend talks, go get involved. That for me in IT and all that stuff in the security field, it's very small. Yes, there's lots of jobs, but you absolutely run into the same people all the time, and you're going to run into them at conferences. So that would definitely be a great place where I would try and look for my next role.
Fantastic. Thank you both. Mark, I'm going to start this next one off with you. What would be your best or favorite resource for veterans and military spouses for career support?
That's a great question because I've been out since '87. There's no such thing as the internet when I got out. And even now, I don't have internet in my house, which is bizarre, right? Yeah, I know everybody's like, what? It's not there yet. I would think that the best place you could go would be to, again, your state agency. For Virginia's Department of Veteran Services. They're not part of the VA, and most of your state agencies aren't part of the VA because they're state, right? But they have contacts into everything. Companies, Virginia has Virginia Values Veterans, V3. So companies who know how to recruit and retain, not maintain, retain veterans, and all states want to be the state where veterans go. Everybody vies for that. So I would say go to your Department of Veteran Services state agency type of place.
Brian, can I jump in here real quick?
That's who I was going to pick next.
And I Hope did not pay me to say this, but Hope for the Warriors is a great resource that can connect you with the other resources in the space. I don't have a favorite one, but take advantage of every resource that's available to you as a veteran, military spouse, active duty service member, whatever role that you play. There is thousands of resources out there, and I know Hope knows all of them. So take advantage of everyone you can get your hands on.
Thank you so much, Ashley. I've got one last question, and this is for all of you. What it will, and just kind of bounce around the room, and then we're going to close it out. What is the best advice you can give someone moving into a career in this industry? Ryan, if you'd like to start us off.
Absolutely. Trust the process. If you know where you want to go and you start doing some research, reach out to contacts, look online, look at the job applications where they list things that they are looking for. So if you want to be, into cybersecurity and you want to know what Splunk is, that's going to be your SOC level stuff, other SIMs, EDR tools. You're going to find so much information on a path forward for a job that you want, just looking from open positions. Go after them. If you don't meet them now, take small steps every day, every week, whatever it is. Trust the process. Teach yourself. Make sure that you're up on it, and eventually, you will start getting opportunities that before were not available to you. You know, after a while, you might think it's luck, but it is also a lot of hard work to put yourself in that position to take advantage of an opportunity. So trust the process.
Thank you, Ryan. Ashley, would you like to pick that up, please?
Sure, I'll be quick. Find a mentor in the IT space.
Linda?
Don't doubt yourself. Kind of Ashley had said something before about like, you know, she's not the programmer day to day. That's not for her. It wasn't for me either. I went for my master's in information management and data science. I told myself I wasn't, you know, I always had this like sense that like, oh, I can't learn, I'm not good at math, or like I can't learn something. And I've kind of always put myself in this box, but I pushed myself to learn something new and not doubt myself. And even if it took me a little while to learn the thing, I was going to learn the thing, even if it was at a different speed. And, you know, I'm not a software engineer either. I came out of my master's. I'm not doing the hands-on programming day to day, but I'm working as a technical recruiter. I talk about, you know, technology every day. There's a space for everyone in tech. It's just figuring out where you want to go and not doubting yourself along the way.
Thank you, Linda. Stephen?
And I'm going to reiterate what Ryan said about YouTube. So for like the certifications we talked about, it's the Network Plus, the A Plus, and the Security Plus. It's CompTIA, and there's all kinds of training. People have put entire training on there. Unlike before, you'd have to pay for the entire thing, but YouTube, these wonderful YouTube guys have gone out there and they've created this great training material, and a bunch of I started watching, you know, guys that are doing the ethical hacking and all this stuff. And I'm mesmerized by it. So I'm in YouTube all the time. And also it'll pique your interest in different areas of IT, because each video will relay you to a different video. So, you know, I would definitely utilize YouTube and you know, and find your way.
Thank you, Stephen. Mark?
I'm going to be completely different than what everybody here said, which I am, as you all know, I'm completely different anyways, right? Plus, I'm the old guy with gray hair, and you know, I'm 50 and almost 60 years old, so I can say things that other people can't say. There's two things that I abide by in my role, right? So a nonprofit, doing what we do, supporting veterans, but we're moral and we're ethical, right? And people know that when I give my word, I will kill myself trying to get that word taken care of. And I am trusted. We are trusted. My people are trusted because we do keep our word. So if you're going to go into a role and you give your word, do it, right? Because as soon as it's found out that, oh, you're a slacker, you suck, you lie, or whatever other things you want to say, as it's been mentioned, I think Ryan said it best, it's a very small IT world out there. And once you have that reputation, you can't get it back. So I'm just going to close with this for me. If the apocalypse happened, I'd pull out my cases of grenades, my M16, put on a flak jacket and a steel pot, and I'd go to town. Just saying, right? I don't have any grenades. I don't have an M16. I don't have a flak jacket or steel pot, but that's what I would do.
Hoorah, Semper Fi, Mark.
Semper Fi. Oh, I've got to go down and have a fire, right?
So I appreciate everybody joining us. Thank you, really. Ryan, Linda, Ashley, Stephen, Mark, such a pleasure. I want to additionally thank everybody for joining us on Facebook Live. This video is going to be embedded on Facebook Live forever. It's not going anywhere. We're going to send out some follow-ups to, you know, so you can watch it again. Keep in mind, we didn't get a chance to even touch base on a lot of the questions that, you know, were submitted to us. So we're looking at some follow-up sessions already. That will be in the form of podcasts. That will be in the form of, you know, participants that you see here today, maybe joining us one-on-one. So look out for those opportunities, and we will be posting that on our social media and different places, so you can join those opportunities. Again, thank you everybody for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure. I hope you have a fantastic week, and a great Easter. Thank you very much.